The Kanban Sandwich pattern, as it's called, is, I think, a particularly interesting one because it shows one of the optimum ways of being able to apply Agile practice at scale. If you imagine a large organization, an enterprise level organization, it's likely to consist of 3 layers. I'm speaking generally, of course. You could use any kind of structure that you like to describe it, but let's just bear with me and let's picture it as consisting of 3 layers. At the upper layer, you have management. You've got the C-level executives. You've got the people who decide what the projects and programs of work will actually be. In the middle layer, you have the project teams themselves who develop products which the senior managers have lined up for delivery. At the bottom layer, you have service and operations teams. So these products that have been ordered, lined up by the senior managers and worked on, developed and delivered by the development teams in that middle layer are then put into operation where they are subject to the support and maintenance that is provided by service and operations teams. So these are the 3 layers that you typically have in an organization: management, the development teams, and the service and operations teams. Now, the senior management layer, the executive layer, tends to have a simple flow of work which can be modeled as a pipeline, or at least as several pipelines, right? They'll have a flow of programs and which would be used to support their strategic portfolios, and these pipelines would be ordered and they would be managed by the C-level executives to match the availability of the teams that the organization has to work on them, right? So there's a backlog. Senior managers would typically have a backlog of things that they think the organization needs to do in order to meet strategic commitments. And that pipeline can be modeled as a Kanban. When you're transitioning an organization into Agile practice, it's commonly appropriate, it's usually appropriate, to coach senior managers to function as a Kanban of sorts. So their pipeline, which they'll quite often be quite familiar with, they might even use the term pipeline, it's a very common one. That pipeline can be thought of as a backlog of sorts, and the managers themselves can be coached to function as a kind of Kanban. The middle layer, the layer of developers who work on the projects that the senior managers have told them to, and for which product ownership has hopefully been secured, those developers won't be able to work in that kind of way typically. The reason is because they will have been given the job of delivering products. And there'll be a lot of unknowns about that, about what that product really looks like, about how it should function, how it should behave, what its features will be. And so a very simple stream of work in the form of a Kanban may not necessarily be appropriate for them. They may need intermediate sprint goals. They may need intermediate goals to work on so that they can deliver each increment, okay, in order to satisfy a particular purpose. That's the sprint goal. If a development and delivery team need that kind of goal, then Kanban may not be the best choice for them. They may be better off considering a method such as Scrum. So you would then have the situation where the senior management would function Kanban-like, and the development and delivery teams, who would benefit from having sprint goals that they can agree with their product owners, would follow a Scrum or Scrum-like method. Once a product is completed, of course, it then has to be subject to operation and maintenance, and that, if you like, is the lower layer of this sandwich. Service and operations teams typically have their own backlogs of work, which would consist of small and repeatable changes, maintenance tasks, business as usual tasks. That kind of work is ideally suited, again, for a Kanban. Yeah? They would manage their backlog either themselves, or they would have product owners to do that work for them. Either way can be appropriate. But they would deliver their work to a specific quality of service. They might have several specific qualities of service that they would support. They might have a gold level service, a silver level service, bronze level service, or whatever, depending upon what the service level agreements might be in place. So what this gives us effectively is a Kanban sandwich. It's Kanban at the senior management level, where there's a pipeline of work. It's Kanban at the service and operations team level, where there's a backlog of small and repeatable changes to be worked on and delivered. And there's a Scrum type method in operation in the middle there by the development and delivery teams, who have to deal with large chunks of business risk, and for whom sprint goals and a Scrum type approach might be more appropriate.